Hello everyone, I Kuldeep Sharma welcome you all to today's session of Daily News Analysis, where we are going to look at the most important news headlines from the Hindu newspaper as well as the Indian Express. So unlike yesterday's newspaper where we covered a lot of news headlines, today's newspaper was very short. I couldn't find many important news. However, I was able to find 5-6 very good news for you all, and I've also compiled certain facts with it. So let's start with the first thing first. So the first thing, very importantly, the date today is June 21. The date is June 21st, and this day is celebrated as the International Yoga Day, or also known as the Antarashtriya Yog Divas. And this day is very important for us because it was an initiative of India in the United Nations, because of which United Nations recognized the International Yoga Day on June 21st. And this particular date was also recommended by us only because this day is celebrated as the Guru Purnima Day, and June 21st, if you may know, is also the longest day in the northern hemisphere. Only in the northern hemisphere. It is only in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, we have a very different day as the longest day of that hemisphere. So some facts regarding International Yoga Day. So all of us know that it is celebrated today, which is June 21st. Next thing is, when was it declared to be the International Yoga Day? So it was declared by UN in 2014. So remember this, it was declared in 2014. However, the first Yoga Day we celebrate on June 21st, 2015. जो पहला Yoga Day हुआ था, it was celebrated on June 21st, 2015. Now, why on June 21? Because it is the summer solstice. Summer solstice basically means the longest day in the northern hemisphere. Similarly, you have your winter solstice on December 22, 21. It can be one day forward or backward. December 22 is known as winter solstice, and it is the longest night in the northern hemisphere. And at the same time, June 21 constitute as the longest night in the southern hemisphere, and December 22 is the longest day in the southern hemisphere. Apart from it, we have two other important days which are related to this only, which are known as equinox. So equinox are the days, or are two dates on which the length of the day and the night are equal. That's why the term equinox, equal nights. And summer solstice is basically the longest day. Winter solstice is basically the longest night in southern hemisphere. Equinox, we have two. One is your spring, and one is your autumn or vernal. So the job for you is to find out on which day of March we have the spring equinox, and on which date of September we have the autumn or vernal equinox. So you just have to tell me the dates. It's very easy to know those dates. Moreover, some very basic point regarding yoga. So the first comprehensive text on yoga is the Yoga Sutras. So Yoga Sutras is the most important book. It's not the first book, but it is the most important book, and which this book we should know. It is Yoga Sutra, and it was written by Maharishi Patanjali. So you must have heard of this name, company name also, of Baba Ramdev. So you may like him, you may dislike him, Baba Ramdev, but he is the one who has made yoga so popular in India and abroad also. Majorly in India, it is because of Baba Ramdev only that yoga became very popular. It became part of our daily life. And the company's name is derived from the name of this saint Patanjali, who is considered as the founder, not the founder of yoga, but the writer of this particular book. And most of the mudras or most of the asanas are given in the Yoga Sutras only. However, when you talk about where do we find the first mention of yoga, so the first mention of yoga is in the Rig Veda itself. The first Veda, Rig Veda, it is there that the word yoga is mentioned somewhere. Moreover, another question for you would be, so we have 4 Vedas. So I am giving you 3 names, 3 Vedas. You have to tell me in the comment box the name of the 4th Veda. So first is your Rig Veda. The second is your Samveda. The third is your Yajurved or Yajurveda. So usually we call it Veda, but A is usually silent in these terms. So Rig Ved, Samved, Yajurved, and which is the third Ved? So which is the 4th Ved? So you have to, in the comment box, try to find out, and if you know, try to mention in the comment box what is the name of the 4th Veda. So this is the first thing which we do, the International Yoga Day. Moving on to the next one. So a change of guard has taken place at NATO. NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. This organization is very important for us, and the main reason why is it important, because NATO is playing a very important role in the Russia-Ukraine war. It is also active in the Israel-Hamas war, not directly, but the countries and who are the members of NATO are also active in the Israel-Hamas war or in the Israel-Iran conflict also, apart from a very big role being played in Russia-Ukraine. So what has happened? So there is a change of guard. So in NATO, the highest official is known as the Secretary General, and the other person, the person who was at the helm of NATO for the last 10-12 years was Jens Stoltenberg, and there was supposed to be a new election, and that election has finally taken place, and now we would be going to have a new NATO Secretary General or the new head of NATO, and he is the outgoing Dutch Prime Minister. So earlier he was the Prime Minister of Dutch or Netherlands, but now he is going to become the NATO Secretary General, and his name is Mark Rutte. Mark Rutte. Okay, so now he is going to be the next NATO Secretary General. So some facts about NATO. NATO is very important for us. So ये facts आपको पता होने चाहिए. For example, establishment कब हुआ है? So established on April 4, 1949 in Washington DC in the North Atlantic region. That's why the name NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So it was established in 1949, which means in the year 2024, this year on April 4th. So very recently it celebrated its 75th anniversary. So 75 years of this particular institution has been completed. So that's why also this institution becomes very important. So if you come across any big organization which is celebrating its 50th anniversary, 25th anniversary, 75th or 100th or 200th anniversary, then those institution becomes more important for us. Apart from all those reasons, NATO is in any way important for us. Okay, so when it was founded or when it was signed in the year 1949, it had 12 founding members. You might know the names of the 12 members also. Majorly, most of the European countries who were the allies of US after World War II were the founding members. And as of now, there are 32 members. So you should know at least these numbers. So you should know these numbers. Okay, 1949 is the establishment in April 4th, and in Washington DC, founding members were 12 and current membership is of 32 members. You should know this number. Who are the newest members? So newest members are also important, and this year only, after the Russia-Ukraine war, after the fallout of the Russia-Ukraine war, these countries felt threatened by the Russian presence on their borders, and they have also decided that they are also going to become part of the NATO alliance. So Finland was the first one this year to become the member, and the second one was Sweden. So Sweden is the latest member or the 32nd member. You should know this also. Now the most important article, the most important provision in this NATO treaty is Article 5. And why this Article 5 is important? Because it stipulates that if any attack is done on any member of NATO alliance, then all the countries are supposed to come and help him. So let's read Article 5 only. It stipulates that an attack on one member country will be considered an attack on all, and the members will be responding collectively. So if a third country attacks any member of NATO alliance, then all the countries have to come together to defend it. However, as of now, only one country has used this Article 5 and asked help from other NATO members, and that country is US, and it was in the backdrop of 9/11. So 9/11 में जो आपके Twin Towers अटैक हुए थे, Twin Towers attack हुए थे, it was conducted by or it was done by Al Qaeda, and at that time Osama bin Laden was the head of Al Qaeda. And the reason why US attacked Afghanistan that time was that Osama bin Laden was in Afghanistan openly, and the Afghan government declined the request of US to send these people, to send Osama bin Laden and other people responsible for 9/11 to US for justice. So that is one thing which we should know. Apart from it, what is the structure of this NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization? So there is this North Atlantic Council. What is this? So it is a political body. It is the highest decision making body. So whatever decisions are to be taken are done by this particular body, North Atlantic Council, highest decision making body. And who are the members? So in this NAC is represented by the ambassadors of all the countries. So it is represented through the ambassadors of all the country. Next is your military command. In this military command, you have a strategic command, you have a regional command, and you have a headquarter also. So you have a forces headquarter, you have a strategic command, and you have a regional command for different commands. So you don't need to know the subdivisions of this military command. And finally, you have the integrated military forces, and this integrated military forces basically consist of military personnel which have been given, which have been deployed by various member countries of NATO. However, one problem with NATO is, and Donald Trump actually raised it when he was in presidency, that the two-thirds of the budget of NATO is given by US only. So out of whatever is the total budget, 66% is contributed by US only. And Donald Trump actually raised this issue that if you want that US should also give you a security cover under the NATO alliance, then the other countries should also make some relevant contribution. However, as of now, the two-thirds of the budget of NATO is by only US. Moving on to the next news. So because I told you in Hindu, there were not very important news, even in the editorial, most of the editorials are just for your reading purposes. So they would be a very good reading exercise for you. For example, there is this one editorial on US and Saudi Arabia agreement. So now some new agreement is going to be signed. So it is only discussing that what is that agreement, what possibly is there in that agreement, and what is the history behind it, and how the relations have developed in so many times, and what can be the hindrances in signing that particular agreement. So that is being discussed, so you can read that. However, most of the news or most of the editorials is a continuation of yesterday's newspaper only. So if you have gone through yesterday's Hindu news analysis or the daily news analysis, then I don't think you need to go across that. So a very light newspaper of Hindu this year. So from Indian Express, I found out 3-4 important news. So on the first page, it is regarding in 2036 Olympics bid India to pitch for inclusion of yoga, kabaddi, kho-kho. So I hope you are aware that this year's sports section is going to be important for us, because this year is the year of Olympics. Olympics take place once in 4 years. So the examiner would only be having this year as the best opportunity to ask a question from Olympics. So that's why we are going to be covering Olympics day by day whenever this Olympics game starts this year. So the 2024 Summer Olympics are going to take place in Paris, France. So one question which I want you to answer is the 2026 Winter Olympics. So you have a Summer Olympics for different sports, and there is a Winter Olympics which can only be played in snow. So 2026 Winter Olympics, I've already told you in which year the next Winter Olympics are going to take place. You have to tell me at what place this Winter Olympics are going to take place. In any case, we are going to discuss it later on, but if you know this, find out the answer and make it part of your notes also. So the 2024 Summer Olympics are going to take place in Paris, France. The motto of the game, so every game would have some motto, and the game of this motto is of Summer Olympics is Games Wide Open. This is the motto of the Summer Olympics. Next, the mascot is very important. He is the representative. It is the mascots are basically are created so to make the games a little bit more popular. So the fridges are basically a type of French cap. So they have created an animated character out of the famous French cap. Just look at a picture of this fridges also, you would find out what it basically is. Next is, so France is hosting it for the third time. No, it is not for the first time or second time. France or Paris in itself. So the last two Olympics were also hosted by France, were in the city of Paris only. So for the first time it was hosted in the year 1900, and in the second time in 1924. So after 100 years, so after a gap of 100 years, Paris is again going to host the Olympics for the third time. However, interestingly, Paris is not the first country. Paris is not the first country to host this game for the third time. Your London in UK, London in United Kingdom has already hosted it 3 times. So before Paris, it was the city of London which has already hosted this game for 3 times. Now next important, so we are already done with the next host of the next two Olympics. So the 2028 Summer Olympics are going to be hosted in Los Angeles city of USA, and the 2032 Summer Olympics are going to be hosted by Australia in Brisbane, which is in Queensland. So Brisbane is a city in the province of Queensland of Australia. So we are already aware that the next two series of your Summer Olympics are going to take place in these two countries. Next is your 2036, and India is bidding for it. So you should know this very well, that India is only bidding for it. India has not been selected. Moreover, the news is saying that India is trying to pitch inclusion of yoga, kabaddi, kho-kho into the Olympic Games also. Moving on, some two important organizations we are also going to discuss today. Later on, we are going to discuss about other things also regarding Olympics. So first is your International Olympic Committee. So this is the international committee which is responsible for conducting the Olympics game. Whatever bidding process takes place, how all of these Olympic games are to be managed, it is done by this particular committee only. Okay, so let's say if Paris is hosting it, it is going to coordinate the conduct of these games with the help of IOC. So this was founded long back in 1894. Its headquarters in Lausanne, Switzerland, and its president is Thomas Bach. And this 2024 Paris Olympics, so Thomas Bach has been the president of IOC for a very long time, and this is the last Summer Olympics under his presidency. Finally, what organization in India is responsible for conducting of Olympics, and not just of Olympics but of Commonwealth Games as well as Asian Games also? So it is this organization which sends its team to Olympics, the Commonwealth Games as well as Asian Games. So this is also a pre-independent body. It was founded in 1927. Its headquarters is in New Delhi. You should know the IOA president right now, and she is PT Usha. So earlier a sprinter, a long jumper from India, if I'm not wrong, PT Usha. And the first president was Sir Dorabji Tata. So Sir Dorabji Tata was the first president of Indian Olympic Association in the year 1927. In the year 1927, he was the first president of the Indian Olympic Association. So some facts regarding his Olympics. So Olympics is going to be covered for the next 2 months also. So please pay attention to these news also. Moving on to the next news. So next news is from the Parliament. So a new person has been appointed as a pro term speaker. So many of you might not have heard of this term, and it is very much possible that you might not have heard of this term in your constitutional books or books related to constitution, because the pro term speaker, the post of pro term speaker, is not mentioned in the constitution. So it is not mentioned in the constitution. So होता कैसे है बेसिकली, तो आपके पार्लियामेंट के लिए एक कंटिन्यूएशन शो करने के लिए कि लोकसभा जो है इट इज कंटिन्यूइंग. सो वन कस्टम विच वी हैव डेवलप्ड इज दैट नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू एंटर इनटू द 18th Lok Sabha. The last one was the 17th Lok Sabha. So when the Lok Sabha is dissolved by the president, so it is the president who dissolves the Lok Sabha, and when the 5-year tenure of the 17th Lok Sabha got completed, the House, the Lok Sabha is dissolved. It is dissolved, and all the MPs, member of parliaments of Lok Sabha, vacate their seat. They vacate their seat. However, there is this one office which continue in its office, which continue to exist till the first meeting of the 18th Lok Sabha. So before the inauguration of the 18th Lok Sabha, there is this one office known as the office of Lok Sabha Speaker. So Lok Sabha Speaker is also one of the MP only. However, he continues to remain in office. The Lok Sabha Speaker of the previous Lok Sabha continues to remain in office up till the first meeting of the 18th Lok Sabha. तो first meeting तक Lok Sabha Speaker office में रहता. Now, as soon as the first meeting takes place of the 18th Lok Sabha, we have to appoint another speaker. So the next speaker is to be appointed. However, to appoint the new speaker, you need to conduct an election. And who is going to vote for this election? The new elected member of parliaments. However, one cannot discharge the function as an MP unless he has taken an oath oath of this particular office. So once you become the member of parliament, you have to take an oath of allegiance to the constitution, and there are other things also. So what is being provided in that case is that when the first meeting takes place, the president can appoint a pro tem speaker. So because स्पीकर को इलेक्ट करने के लिए नए लोकसभा के लिए यू नीड न्यू मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट्स, और दे शुड बी द ओथ टेकिंग मेंबर्स ओनली, देन ओनली दे कैन वोट इन द पार्लियामेंट. सो इनको ओथ दिलाने के लिए व्हाट डज प्रेसिडेंट डू इज ही नॉमिनेट्स और ही इलेक्ट्स, ही अपॉइंट्स वन पर्सन एज प्रो टर्म स्पीकर. प्रो टर्म का मतलब होता है टेम्पररी ओनली, फॉर द टाइम बिंग. प्रो टर्म वर्ड का मीनिंग क्या होता है? यू शुड नो द मीनिंग ऑल्सो ऑफ दीज टर्म्स. प्रो टर्म का मीनिंग होता है टेम्पररी और फॉर द टाइम बिंग. सो ही इज अ स्पीकर फॉर अ टाइम बिंग ओनली. सो प्रेसिडेंट अपॉइंट्स अ प्रो टर्म स्पीकर एंड 3 other members are also appointed apart from 3 other members are also appointed to help the pro tem speaker. And the custom or the convention has been usually to appoint the pro tem speaker. किसको अपॉइंट किया जाता है? जो सबसे आपका नॉट द एल्डेस्ट मेंबर बट द लॉन्गेस्ट सर्विंग एमपी. So it is usually to appoint the longest serving MP. For example, this Bhartaruhari Mahatab, who has been appointed as a pro tem speaker, he has been elected to the Lok Sabha for the 7th time. So he is a 7-time MP. 7-time MP of Lok Sabha. However, now there has been a controversy because Congress is stating that the BJP by BJP recommending his name to the president Bhartaruhari Mahatab has unfollowed a convention to appoint the longest serving MP, and the current longest serving MP is someone else, and he is serving the 8th term as a member of parliament. So a Congress MP, he is serving as the 8th term as a member of parliament, and he has not been appointed. So let's coming back again to the procedure. So in the first meeting, the president appoints the pro tem speaker and 3 members. Once the pro tem speaker is decided, the president provides an oath, administers the oath to the pro tem speaker. This pro tem speaker administers the oath to the 3 new members also, and the first job which these people has to do is to administer oath to the rest of the MPs. Once the oath is administered, this office extinguishes. This office ends there, then and there. अब ये ऑफिस एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता है, एंड जो सारे नए एमपीज होते हैं वो एक नए स्पीकर का इलेक्शन करते हैं, जिसका इलेक्शन भी प्रेसिडेंट ही बताता है. ठीक है. सो प्रो टेम स्पीकर को प्रेसिडेंट ने ही अपॉइंट करा है. एट द सेम टाइम प्रेसिडेंट ही नेक्स्ट स्पीकर के या न्यू स्पीकर के लिए डेट को अनाउंस करेगा, एंड जो नए एमपीज होंगे दे आर गोइंग टू इलेक्ट अ स्पीकर एंड 1 डेप्यूटी स्पीकर ऑल्सो, एंड अ कॉलम और अ ग्रुप ऑफ स्पीकर और ग्रुप ऑफ पर्सन विच कैन बिकम स्पीकर इफ द स्पीकर और डेप्यूटी स्पीकर इज एब्सेंट. उन सबका भी प्रेसिडेंट ही इलेक्शन अनाउंस करता है और नए एमपीज मिलकर उसको इलेक्ट करते हैं. सो दिस इज हाउ दिस स्पीकर, द प्रो टेम स्पीकर एंड द स्पीकर appointment takes place. So you should know the name of this speaker also now. Moving on to the next one. So there is this one article regarding national education policy. So you can read this article also in the Indian Express. But this article is basically because there was a lot of criticism regarding the new educational policy which has come up just in 2020, and it has become implementable from the 2022 session only. So it's a defense of that NEP because there was a lot of criticism. So let's look into brief regarding this national education policy. So it is not the case that this NEP 2020 is the first national education policy. We earlier also used to have this national education policy, and you should know the other 2 policies also. So the first national education policy came in the year 1968. So during the Indira Gandhi government, she created a Kothari commission. So there was a Kothari commission created, and whatever his recommendation were, or whatever this commission's recommendation were, they were made into a national policy on education. So by this we had our first national education policy. Now the second national education policy was introduced in the year 1986 under the prime ministership of Rajiv Gandhi. सो सेकंड जो NEP आई थी वो 1986 में आई थी, पहली 68 में, फिर 86 में। टू डिजिट्स, दोनों डिजिट्स चेंज हो गए हैं, सेकंड और लास्ट टू डिजिट्स चेंज हो गई हैं इसमें बस, 68 और 86, एंड इट केम इन द टेन्योर ऑफ राजीव गांधी एज प्राइम मिनिस्टर, एंड इट वाज रिवाइज्ड इन द ईयर 1992, सो स्मॉल चेंजेस वर मेड. And finally, we have the third or the newest NEP, which is based on the recommendation of K. Kasturi Rangan committee. So K. Kasturi Rangan committee actually made the recommendation, and those recommendations were accepted. And on the basis of those recommendations, we have this NEP 2020, and it is under the tenure of Narendra Modi government. So Modi government के अंदर में या मोदी गवर्नमेंट की प्राइम मिनिस्टरशिप में we have this NEP 2020. So let's look at some more important points of NEP, because NEP 2020 is a very large document. There are lots of changes, lots of improvements, and lots of recommendation reforms being done by NEP 2020. Let's cover some of the important changes in the NEP 2020. So what is the first change? So now we are going to have a new pedagogical structure. So you must know, you must have heard of this term also, 10+2. That so basically our schooling is 10+2, and this 10+2 structure actually came in the 1986 policy. However, now we are replacing it with a new structure. It would be a 5+3+3+4. So 5 years of pre-primary and primary school. Pre-primary and primary school, basically up now we are covering the age group of 3 to 6. 3 to 6 age group ko we are covering. Next is your 3rd, 4th and 5th class. The next 3 is your 6th, 7th and 8th class, and finally your senior secondary classes of 9 to 12th. So this is the new structure which is being replaced by NEP 2020. Moreover, there is more focus on vocational training. What is vocational training? That you would be trained, or you would be given education, or you would be trained in certain skill also. So that is vocational training, and it would start from 6th grade itself. So an example of vocational training can be like carpenting. All of these would be an example, or plumbing would be an example of vocational education. And from there onwards, from 6th grade onwards, you are going to be provided with internships also. And remember this, if you go into a law school, these internships are very important for you to do if you want to get into, let's say, in practice also, or if you want to go into law firm also. These internships play a very important role. Next, these are two very important points. First is that as per NEP 2020, they have made sure that the mother tongue, whatever is the mother tongue of that particular child, it should be the medium of instruction until grade 5. So until you are in grade 5, yani you have to cover the 5+3 wala part. So until you are in this grade 5, until you are in these classes, you need to be taught in the mother tongue only. So there should be mother tongue, and if possible, it should be up to grade 8 also. So if the facility is there to teach in mother tongue, then it should be at least till grade 8. Next, the very famous, the 3-language formula. So we had this formula in 1986, but there is a certain change being done in the 2020 NEP also. So in the 1986, there was compulsion to have either English or Hindi as one or the second or third language. However, this is more flexible, and this provides with a 3-language formula. So what is the first one? So first is obviously your mother tongue or regional language should be the first language, because now mother tongue has been made compulsory to be provided up to grade 5. So if someone comes up in your school and he wants to be studied in a particular language, then your school should be providing that particular language. So first is your mother tongue regional language. It can be one of the 3 languages. The second language is also supposed to be another Indian language or another native language. So as an example, I can tell you that if you will look at Schedule 8 of the Constitution, it has 22 constitutionally recognized language. So you can say any one of those languages you can taught as a second language. And there is a flexibility to choose a third language also. So first is compulsory, but there is flexibility for second and third language. And what is the third language? So third language can be any language. You can even provide foreign languages also, but it must be different from the home language or regional language. So you can use any third language, but that third language cannot be a regional language or a language. Let's say if you are in Tamil Nadu, so apart from Tamil, if there is another regional language, you cannot choose the third language. If you are already teaching Tamil and English or Tamil or Hindi, you cannot choose the third language as another regional language. It has to be something foreign at least to the state. So this is the very famous or very controversial 3-language formula. So it was more controversial during 1986 because there the term was Hindi. You have to choose Hindi or English, but now this flexibility has been provided. So for second and third language, you can choose many other languages. Moving on, so there this term has come up, Hooch. So you also might be coming across this particular term कि जहरीली शराब पीकर बिहार में इतनी डेथ हो गई. अभी तमिलनाडु में फिर से एक Hooch ट्रेजेडी हुई है. So what is this Hooch? Hooch basically stands for a cheap homespun alcohol. So I've come across this particular article in the Indian Express newspaper, and this Hooch words come from a tribe. The tribe name is Hoochinu. Hoochinu. The tribe name is Hoochinu from Alaska. So Alaska की एक ट्राइब है एंड वहां से ये टर्म हुचिनो से हूच वर्ड आया. और हूच एक्चुअल में होती क्या है? इट्स अ चीप होममेड अल्कोहल. Now this particular article gives you a brief idea of how this cheap homespun or homemade alcohol is made. So the main two processes which are used or utilized in creating this hooch is, one is fermentation and one is distillation. Fermentation is basically when you make it react with yeast. सड़ा के जो अपन करते हैं bacteria formation होता है, that is fermentation. And because of this fermentation, alcohol is created in that particular content. Now the second process is distillation. What is distillation? Distillation is when you separate different components in a liquid, and how do you distill a particular thing? So every liquid would have different boiling points. So basically you are going to boil that liquid, and whatever fumes are coming out of it, you are going to collect those fumes, and by that particular process you can actually separate the alcohol from the rest of the product. So these are the two products which these are the two methods to create this hooch or alcohol formation. Now what is the problem in this process? The problem is that distillation is a very scientific process, and you need to maintain certain boiling points, so that because if you raise the boiling point or if the boiling point is less, then whatever residue you want to produce or whatever you want to collect, most probably there would be some other chemical compound which would be forming, because the boiling point is different. So you have to maintain a particular boiling point if you are collecting something else. So what problem is being faced when they prepare hooch in a very unscientific setting? So it leads to production of ethanol as well as methanol. So ethanol is not poisonous, it is the alcohol. So most of the alcohol which we know is basically ethanol. However, methanol is a toxic industrial compound. It's a toxic industrial compound, and when these people do this unscientific fermentation and distillation of this hooch, methanol is also produced, ethanol is also produced. And the problem with methanol and ethanol is that methanol boiling point is less than ethanol. So what they are supposed to do is, they first have to collect methanol at a lower temperature. Once they have separated all of the methanol, the next line, so when, for example, methanol is at 37 degrees Celsius, so it boils at 37 degrees Celsius, and ethanol boils at 40 degrees Celsius. So at 37 degrees Celsius, you have to maintain the distillation process. At 37 degrees Celsius, the methanol is going to evaporate, and you have to remove all of the methanol. And when the temperature reaches 40 degrees Celsius, that is when you are going to collect those fumes into a funnel or a pipe. So that's how you basically create hooch. Okay, and now what is the problem with hooch? Because I've already told you, because many a times what happens in this hooch, ethanol is mixed with methanol. So many people are actually consuming a highly toxic industrial chemical compound. So because of this, the death takes place. So that is how this hooch is produced. So these were the news headlines from today's Hindu and the Indian Express. I hope to see you in the next class, where we are going to look at the important news from that particular say. So that's it from my side. Thank you and have a very nice day.